What did ancient humans do for fun? Tonight, after work, you'll come home, eat dinner, and pick up your phone. You'll scroll for about 2 hours. You won't remember most of what you saw. You'll laugh once or twice. You'll feel slightly worse afterward, the way you usually do. Then you'll go to bed. This is what most of us now call fun. For 99% of human history, no one did this. Not because they couldn't, because they didn't have to. The standard story goes like this. Ancient life was brutal. Our ancestors spent every waking moment scraping for food, fighting off predators, and dying young. There was no time for joy. The good life is a modern invention. Almost none of that is true. And what ancient humans actually did with their free time, and how much of it they had, has become one of the most uncomfortable findings in modern anthropology. Let's start with the time. In 1972, anthropologist Marshall Sahlins published a now famous essay called The Original Affluent Society. He had been studying surviving hunter-gatherer groups for years, and the data kept showing the same thing. The Kung people of the Kalahari worked between 12 and 19 hours per week to feed themselves. The Hadza of Tanzania around 14 hours. The Australian Aboriginal groups he studied, similar. These numbers have been confirmed and refined dozens of times since, including in a major 2019 study by anthropologist Mark Dybel in the journal Nature Human Behavior. A modern person, by comparison, works around 40 to 50 hours per week, then commutes, then handles the second shift of childcare and chores. Ancient humans had, on average, more than twice as much leisure time as you do. So what did they do with it? The first answer is the one that shocks people most. They played. The earliest evidence of human-made games dates back at least 5,000 years to the royal game of a board game found in Mesopotamian tombs, and so well loved that some of the boards show wear patterns from generations of use. Stones used for board game pieces have been found in burial sites going back even further. Senet, the Egyptian board game, was already old when the pyramids were new. But organized games are only the most recent layer. Before games, there was play itself. Anthropologist Peter Gray at Boston College has spent decades documenting what hunter-gatherer children did with their days, and the answer is almost incomprehensible to a modern parent. They played. They played from sunrise to sunset. They played without adult supervision, without scheduled activities, without organized sports. They invented games with sticks and stones and whatever was on the ground. They imitated adults, then made fun of adults. They wrestled. They climbed trees. They learned every skill they would need as an adult through nothing but play. And the adults played too. In the Umbinjale forest people of the Congo, anthropologists have documented elaborate mock combat games among grown adults. The Inuit had song duels, in which two men would compose insulting songs about each other and perform them publicly, and whoever the audience laughed at more would lose. The Tiv people of Nigeria had storytelling competitions that could last entire nights, with adults trying to outdo each other in inventiveness. We have been told for centuries that humans grew out of play as they became civilized. The opposite appears to be true. But play wasn't the biggest one. The biggest one was music. In 2008, archaeologists working in a cave called Hohle Fels in southern Germany found something that changed our understanding of when humans became human. A flute, carved from a single piece of vulture bone, with 5 precisely drilled finger holes. It was over 42,000 years old. This wasn't a prototype. The instrument was sophisticated. The acoustics, when recreated by modern musicologists, produce a clear pentatonic scale, the same scale used in folk music across the world today. Whoever made this flute had clearly inherited a long tradition of music making, which means music goes back further, much further. Modern researchers estimate that humans have been singing for at least 100,000 years, and possibly twice that. Singing predates language. Some linguists now believe language emerged out of song, not the other way around. For most of human history, your ancestors sang every day. They sang while they worked. They sang to children. They sang around fires at night. They sang during births and deaths and meals and journeys. Music wasn't entertainment. It was the soundtrack of being alive. Then came dancing. Every culture ever documented dances, every single one. From the Bushmen of southern Africa to the Sami of the Arctic Circle, to every isolated tribe contacted in the Amazon basin. There has never been a human society without dance. And what they danced wasn't choreographed performance. It was hours-long communal trance, repetitive rhythmic movement in groups, sometimes for entire nights, designed to dissolve the self into the whole. Anthropologists studying these dances have found that participants emerge from them in measurably altered states. Lower stress hormones, higher pain tolerance, a reported feeling almost universally of connection so deep that the boundary between self and tribe disappears for hours. This is what your ancestors did for fun. They became briefly, deliberately, no longer themselves. And then there was the part nobody talks about. For at least 30,000 years, and probably longer, humans have been deliberately seeking out altered states of mind. Cave paintings in southern France, made by people who lived in the last ice age, depict scenes that anthropologists now believe represent visions experienced under the influence of psychoactive plants. The bones of reindeer in northern Eurasia have been found alongside Amanita muscaria mushrooms, suggesting deliberate harvesting. Ancient Peruvian burials contain elaborate snuff trays for inhaling powdered seeds of mind-altering plants. The Vedas, the oldest religious texts in India, describe a drink called soma that produced visions and ecstasy. Almost every culture in human history found a way to step outside of ordinary consciousness, deliberately, as part of normal life. This wasn't escapism. It was considered some of the most important time a person spent. And the smaller things never went away. People gossiped, they told jokes, they flirted, they braided each other's hair, they invented elaborate body decorations, they taught children games, they argued about whose turn it was to sing, they wrestled, they competed at throwing things, they lay in the sun. A 2017 ethnographic survey of 32 surviving hunter-gatherer societies found that the average adult, in their leisure hours, spent more than half of that time in unstructured social interaction. Just being with other people, talking, laughing, doing nothing in particular together. This is what's strange. The activities your ancestors did for fun, playing, singing, dancing, gossiping, sitting around together, briefly losing themselves, are exactly the things modern research consistently identifies as the most powerful predictors of human happiness. We know this. There are thousands of studies confirming it, and yet the average modern human spends almost none of their leisure time doing any of these things. We trade the fire for the screen, the song for the playlist, the dance for the scroll, the friend across the table for the friend on the timeline. We get the surface of the thing without any of what made it work, and the result is documented. Loneliness rates are at historic highs. Depression has tripled since the 1980s. The single biggest predictor of happiness across cultures isn't wealth or status or even health. It's the depth and quantity of in-person social contact. Exactly the thing the modern world has quietly stripped out. Ancient humans didn't have more fun because their lives were easier. Their lives were harder than yours in ways you can't imagine. They had more fun because they hadn't yet figured out how to be alone in a room of people. Tonight, when you pick up your phone, you'll be reaching for something. The same thing they were reaching for. The same thing every human in every century has wanted at the end of a long day. You just won't quite find it there. It's still out there. It's still inside you. It's still waiting for the firelight, the song, the people sitting close. It always was.